Imagine how different Africa could have been without the impact of colonialism. Pre-colonial Africa was not just a vast savanna, it was a continent rich with diverse cultures, powerful kingdoms, and complex trade networks. The Mali Empire was renowned for its wealth in gold, the Swahili coast was a hub of trade, and Great Zimbabwe demonstrated remarkable architectural achievements. While Europe was in its medieval period, Africa was home to universities like Timbuktu. It was a continent of innovation from agriculture to art. There were conflicts, as in any region, but it was a place full of potential. However, colonialism arrived like a devastating storm, disrupting everything. It was a force that consumed resources and shattered societies. Colonialism left a lasting impact, one that Africa continues to grapple with today. Imagine a scenario where European powers never divided Africa. What would happen? The existing kingdoms would likely have continued to rise and evolve. Envision a powerful West African federation emerging from the remnants of the Mali and Songhai empires. This new power could become a significant global economic force, controlling the trade of gold, salt, and cocoa beans. Meanwhile, in the east, the Ethiopian Empire, having successfully resisted colonization in our reality, might have continued to flourish and expand its influence. In the south, the Zulus, without British interference, could have built a formidable empire under Shaka Zulu and his successors. However, internal conflicts would still persist. There would be power struggles and competition for resources. History is complex, unpredictable, and often challenging. Now let's discuss the economic implications of a continent free from colonial exploitation. Without European powers siphoning off resources and controlling markets, Africa's economic trajectory could have been profoundly different. Envision the continent developing its own industries and setting its own terms for trade. No more cash crops, no more being forced to sell raw materials at minimal prices. Instead, we could be discussing African nations adding value to their resources, manufacturing goods, and controlling the entire supply chain. Consider African nations sitting at the table as equals, negotiating trade deals that benefit their economies. They would be making decisions, not following orders. This is what true economic independence looks like. Economic development requires time, investment, and good governance. Without the constraints of colonialism, Africa could have emerged as a significant economic powerhouse, a continent unchained social and cultural impacts of an independent Africa. Colonialism was not merely about land and resources, it was about control, about erasing cultures and traditions. In this alternate timeline, without forced assimilation, African cultures would have continued to thrive and evolve naturally. Envision a world where traditional African medicine developed alongside Western practices, where indigenous languages were given equal importance, and where ancient knowledge systems were preserved and honored. This isn't to suggest that everything would be perfect. Societal issues like poverty, disease, and inequality would still exist. But without the scars of colonialism, African societies would have had the opportunity to address these challenges on their own terms. Drawing on their own values and traditions, it's about reclaiming what was lost, celebrating what makes Africa unique, and forging a future rooted in its own rich heritage.